Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Another physics lesson. I was just watching a video now about quantum theory, and I thought I'd make a video on physics as it's related to religion. You know, in the same way that we are brought up in a certain religion, just like Islam, for example, there are a lot of different Islams. Not a nice thing to say, but that is how it is. I mean, there's a big branch of Shia and Sunni, and then within Shia, there's the Ismailis and different sects, if you like, of Shiism. And then within the fold of Sunni, there's the same thing. There's different, like there's the I'm trading on eggs now, so that's why I'm talking so carefully. But look, we all know that there's Baha'is, there's Qadianis, there's Ahmadis, there's all shapes and sizes. So there's different kinds of religion. Even in Christianity, it's the same thing. There's Catholicism, there's Anglicanism, there's Presbyterians, there's Seventh Day Adventists. You can actually put them right next to Islam. There's a whole lot of different sects of whatever name you call it. They're all different. In fact, the one says the other one is not Christian, and the one says that the other one is not Muslim. So I know you're thinking now, what am I? I'm a Sunni. I'm just a Muslim, but I'm a Sunni Muslim. I was brought up according to Imam Shafi'i, and there were different Imams all over the. Did you know that Imam Al Ghazali criticized each and every madhab Imam? Like he criticized Imam Shafi, Imam Hanbali, Imam Maliki, and Imam Abu Hanifa. All of them. He criticized everybody. And it's interesting to see, to read his criticisms. It's not easy to get hold of his books. But, they wrote books commenting on one another. Like Imam Al Ghazali wrote about the incoherence of the philosophers, like they're not coherent. And he showed that it's not separate. Religion and philosophy is not separate. Like you can go to the PhD in anything and you are still within the fold of Islam. And that's the point that I want to make now. The things are the same, they're all the same. A way of life you get it from physics, just like you get a way of life from Islam. Just like you get a way of life from sport, for example, like you get a Liverpudlian who supports Liverpool, and that's his life. He will get upset if you say something bad about Liverpool. In the same way, you get a Manchester United football supporter who lives for Man United, and you can't go sit next to him with a Liverpool sweater on. No ways. Now, religion is the same. But did you know that physics is also the same? So, just like you were brought up in Islam, all right, or Christianity, the physics that you learn in school, it's a particular type of physics. There's a whole lot of different kinds of physics. Let that sink in. You see, we learn or at least I learn, and I was the head of physics at one point towards the end of my teaching, end of my working life. And I taught what is called Copenhagen physics. All right, but I never ever told my students, and I was never told that this is one particular viewpoint of physics. It's a dominant one, and you will learn, or you've already learned about Niels Bohr and Heisenberg's the uncertainty principle, and they were the core brotherhood almost. And they when they commented on something, then it stayed like that. If they kept something out of the fold of that brotherhood, it stayed out. And people who tried to convince them otherwise would argue with them. And if they couldn't convince them, then they had to continue doing their particular type of physics. So even Einstein had a disagreement with them, because once again, their basic their beginning, their starting point, it's based on probability. Like the probability of finding out where an electron is, and stuff like that, all probability. So that is like, to me, that's guesswork. Even Einstein said God doesn't play dice. He was uncomfortable with quantum theory. And this is the video that I was watching, quantum theory. And it's accepted to be the norm in Copenhagen physics. But now you take somebody like David Bohm, and before him there was another physicist called de Broglie. It's spelled de Broglie with a Broglie, but the guy on YouTube pronounces it de Broglie, like a silent G. That's another thing. Why do they have all these? Why do they put a G there if you're not going to say it? Yeah, Brolie is Broglie. So they stick a G in there, then a silent G. They can still have like a silent Q and then say it's the Broglie. Anyway, that's other. English is a strange language. It's not my first language. I mean, we have our own language, which is actually a language. It's Kombuis Afrikaans. It's a different version of Dutch. I was speaking to a boy now who works on these travel ships, ships. And that's a nice job. I mean, you must think about doing that if your parents will allow you to go and work on a cruise ship. You travel to different countries. It's hard work, but you shouldn't be afraid of hard work. You young people today, you have life far too easy. Hard work builds character, and that's what you need to build. Your One of the ways of getting to Jannah is being a good, strong character. There's too many influences today. So you need a lot of knowledge and you have to have a good character. Akhlaq. That is the important thing. You know the hadith or the tradition of someone who once asked the Nabi, give me an easy way to get to Jannah, because that's obviously our purpose. But the stuff that I know so far is difficult stuff, man, and you need a lot of money for it, and you need to make sadaqah and all that. So the Nabi said, no, no, no. The simplest form of sadaqah is a smile. But there's the other way, if you just ensure that you are of the best of character, akhlaq, best of akhlaq, that is a way to get to Jannah. Because you will be judged according to your character, according to how you behave and so on. So if you are of strong character and people can't sway you easily, like, leave that, man. Come here. Some people can be like shaitan. And some people say, Diana is full shaitan. That is so stupid. How can you be full of shaitan? Shaitan can't go into you. Shaitan can't possess you. Like you see in the movies, they must exorcise somebody. And then you actually get Muslim people here in Cape Town. They bacha on you. Like the Christian people recite the Bible on you. And then, there was a movie in the 70s where this girl got possessed by the devil, that you can pull faces and swear and float above the bed and all of that. It was a hit movie. And, you can imagine the influence that might have had on the slums of Anikap, because they are, I can promise you, I've seen one. And so they say people are fully bliss, and then they bacha on them. And you can actually go to a dukum, they call it a dukum, where you can get somebody to dukum somebody that you don't like. And it's all women doing this. Like the second husband will go dukum the second wife will go dukum the first wife. Like something must happen to her, or the husband must leave her, or it's kind of thing going on here in Cape Town. Hulle dukum mekaar. Yeah, but there is such a thing as shaitan, but he waswasas. He uses waswasa. He whispers in your ear. I've never had that happen to me, but a waswasa is a whisper. Like, why am I? And the shaitan will only come to you who are doing good. He's not going to go to the evilty, because that I was already on his side. He's already acting under the guidance of the iblis or the shaitan. So why must he still go waswasa in that ear? He's going to come to you that's well behaved, that's sticking, making your salah, and you make du'as, and you seek Allah's help whenever you remember, and he's going to come to you. Hey, that's nonsense, man. Why are you doing that? And then, maybe a waswasa is like a thought. I don't know. But if you get those thoughts trying to pull you away, then that is shaitan. That is shaitan's job. He didn't want to bow down to Nabi Adam because he said he's made of a pure flame, full of kibr. Adam was made of clay, the dirt of the earth, and he's made of pure fire. So why must Allah even make Adam? Why? He's going to catch on nonsense. He's going to make mischief on this dunya. And, the devil won't, because he's a pure, smokeless flame. So Allah's answer was, Allah knows why. So the devil said, but then I'm going to do my utmost to make him do wrong stuff. Allah said, okay, go ahead. You can do all of that. You have my permission to do that. But there's one thing you can't do. You see that Malaikat there, he's only got one job. His name is Maut. And it's his job to bring the souls of all my creation back to me. They must come back. And I will put their souls back in their bodies. I will resurrect their bodies, rebuild their bodies from the tiniest little molecules that they become over the millennia. And that will happen on the day of judgment. So go enjoy yourself, do whatever you want to, but you can't take their lives. That you don't have. That is Malaikat Maut's job. Yeah, so it doesn't matter where you go, where you hide, the highest mountain, the furthest place, Malaikat Maut will find you. He knows where you're going to be when your date and your time comes around. Whether you are 6 months old, whether you are 66 years old, or 96 years old, 106 years old, he's going to come and get you. Okay, so the Copenhagen physics is a specific type of physics, and you need to know this because it's very different. That is what makes Europhysics different to Islamic physics. But among them, if you take somebody like de Broglie Bohm that I just spoke about now, and got waylaid by the pronunciation of the silent G, but they came up with a physics that is based on the void not being a darkness. I mean, the void not being a void, but it being a thing. Like they didn't agree with space-time and the curvature and the nothingness and all that, but they didn't quite go into it in the terms of like it's the darknesses and it's the David Bohm. He actually came up with the idea of the pilot wave, Pilot, in this void. And there are waves in the Quran. It's dhulumat, the darknesses, and there are waves upon waves and layer upon layer. It sounds like an ocean, layer upon layer and wave upon wave. The waves of the ocean are not only on top, there it comes to the surface so you can see waves, but it's underneath also, and there are layers underneath. I mean, the one layer goes that way, and then the other layer goes in the opposite direction, higher up or lower down. And the other one goes in the other direction. So it's layer upon layer. And so the darkness is almost like the ocean with all the stuff floating in it, all the planets, the stars, the asteroids, and everything is like it's floating in it. In fact, in the Quran, it says the sun and the moon is swimming in its orbit. I mean, what more like an ocean is that? And it's floating to its appointed place. So it's going somewhere. And it's not just going around, I mean, almost 1,500 years ago, the Nabi repeated the words that were said to him by Jibreel alayhi salam. These words. And he spoke about floating, and he spoke about swimming to an appointed place. And so he already said that the earth and the moon was moving. It wasn't standing still, and it wasn't going around the earth like they thought at the time. that the earth was the center of everything and the sun and the moon went around it. We now know that the earth moves around the sun in 1 year and the moon moves around the earth. But all three of those things are moving through the darknesses. They are floating in the darknesses and they are almost like they're swimming. I mean, they don't have arms, they're not doing breaststroke now, but you know what I mean. The analogy is that it's like water and all those things are swimming, but not on top, like underwater, in the water, like underwater. So that's what my physics looks at. But mine is in effect, I didn't know about Bohm and de Broglie when I found all these things out in the Quran. I'm only finding out about it now. But who's going to listen to me? I'm a brown O. But in effect, I'm standing on Bohm and de Broglie's shoulders and I'm completing their pilot wave thing, Only I don't see it as one wave. I see it as a lot of waves because I've read it in the Quran. And I've said before that Dhulumat is not always about dark into light of Islam and all of that. A lot of the references to Dhulumat is physics. And this is one of it. Layers and wave upon wave. And do you know that they've actually measured a wave? They call it a gravitational wave, but there's no such thing as gravity. So I suppose they're just using conventional terms because everybody understands gravity. And it's a tiny thing, it's tiny. It's 10 to the minus 9. So they're measuring it on the nanometer scale. And, to me, that is a wave in the Dhulumat that is making its appearance on the nanoscale. But it actually exists there on the attoscale, it's called ATTO, 10 to the minus 18. That's how tiny it is. That's why I can go, look, the atom scale is here around nano, right? The atoms and the electrons and so on. But the darknesses, those waves are on the attoscale, 10 to the minus 18. That's why they can go straight between the nucleus and the electron cloud or whatever you want to call it. They go in between there. That's why they go right in between. They go right through Earth. They go right through inorganic matter. They go right through organic matter, like us. And our eyes cannot pick it up because it just goes right through our eyes. It's too small for the eye to see. It's minuscule and tiny. Doesn't even describe how small it is. So, from an Islamic perspective, that actually brings something else onto the whiteboard. I don't have a whiteboard, but you know what I mean. One of my viewers says I must get a whiteboard, by the way, but don't have money, man. I had a whiteboard, I don't even know where it is. All my money is going into my business startup, and I'm running out of fuel now, money. What do they call it? Runway. I'm running out of, they got all these terms now. I'm learning business startup terms like MVP. You know what's MVP? It's minimum viable product. So watch out for my chat ILM. I got my own chat thing. I wrote an email to all those lighties there at ARC, all youngsters. They have a competition, $1 million. And every single model that is competing is GPT. They're all, because ChatGPT was so successful, they all the stuff is GPT in any case. I mean, I know you use GPTs, your teachers don't know, but you just double check and triple check your output from those GPTs, right? And don't let GPT do your work for you. You must know what you're doing. You just get GPT to write your stuff in a very nice way. You can actually write it very scientifically or write it very business-like if you want to start a business. And of course, make sure your business is halal, financially speaking, because it's very difficult here. Taking out a loan and paying back interest, that is out and out haram. You don't get a more clear definition of riba. And don't let people tell you it's not riba, or we need to, or we must live according to the laws of the land. No, we mustn't. I mean, we must, but not if it goes against the laws of Islam. It's only if the law isn't there. You know, like you take AI, it's so brand new. I've always lived in the world of computing. And South Africa has always never had laws like there are no laws for AI. There's no law which says you can't use it in high school. So you can, but you must use it responsibly and speak to your teacher about it. I'll give you an example, right? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're drifting off the topic now, but in the previous video, I mentioned to you that computer science and physics and mathematics is all mathematics. So we're actually not drifting off topic. It's just that these fields of endeavor has been classified like this for us. But if you go and read up on Ibn al-Haytham, he had a problem with the over-classification of subjects. You know, he said, and you look at the effect on society. Somebody becomes a engineer, then that's his life. You know, all his answers is engineering. You talk to him about the deen, and he's like, no, 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 that's for stupid people. You know, the religion, I can get all my answers in engineering. You know, it's automatic. Things interact automatically. You want me to design a system that, okay, it won't run forever because there's no such thing as a perpetual motor, but everything is automatic. And so they become, you know, they don't learn engineering and Quran and Sunnah and fiqh and so on. So they see engineering only. So they're inside the box. So they're actually so short-sighted. But talking about inside the box, you know, if you watch a previous video of mine, I don't remember which one it is, but just go watch one of the previous ones and I give you a picture of the universe with when there wasn't a universe. You know, like there was Allah and then the universe was created. So, in effect, Allah is outside the universe. And that's why Europhysics can study the entire universe and not see the full picture, you know, because they don't acknowledge the creator. They go into outer space. They go onto the moon, but they don't pray before they do that. I mean, they're supposed to be Christian. They just go. And Allah says, I will allow you to travel into outer space. So they are being allowed. But they didn't ask for permission. They didn't say with the grace of God or with the permission of God. You know, so we as Muslims, when we eventually go into space on the galaxy ship, the Sultan, I'm going to make a TV series on that. Just give me till the end of the year, maybe early next year, inshallah. I'm going to make a TV series. The galaxy ship, not the starship. They cannot travel between the stars because Elon Musk is going to pollute everywhere. They want to get away from Earth. We need to get out of this galaxy to get away from them because they're going to pollute everything. They can just go to Mars, you know, because they won't be able to come back. So we'll be able to travel from Earth, intergalactic, and come back. I think. Doesn't matter. As long as we just get away from them. They mess everything up. They force people to do everything, you know, because they see the success of Newton's force. Newton's three laws is all about force. And so physics, like I say, it's a way of life. It affected their way. They saw the success of it, and so they lived according to force. Now they're coming right. They're realizing force is a crime. But now they're swinging completely, like their great grandchildren are swinging completely in the other direction. You know, like now you're allowed to do anything and everything. Cut up your penis, stick it on a girl, make a girl into a boy, smoke weed in public, and you know, nudity, sex in on the street, all kinds of stupid stuff. I mean, why can't they just be middle of the road? They must be the middle of those two, right? We know that the Nabi said, "My nation is a nation of the middle road." Right? Don't mean you must walk in the middle of the road. I mean, you know, you're clever, you do physics, you must be clever. Be balanced, be in the middle. Don't be to either extreme. And you know, the Sirat al-Mustaqim is very, very wide. You don't have to be perfectly in the middle of the Sirat al-Mustaqim. You can go be on the edge like me. I go very much. I don't walk in with everybody. They for sin. They Muslim, but they for sin. They hold. We don't build stuff. How am I gonna buy? How am I gonna buy all the stuff that I need? I have to go buy it from non-Muslim people. They're gonna ask me, "What are you doing with that stuff? What are you gonna do?" And then I must say, I'm going to build the Starship Enterprise and go out of the galaxy. They're going to lock me up in the madhouse. They already did. 25 years ago, my own people locked me up here in Falkenberg in Cape Town as a lunatic asylum. They locked me up in there. They injected me and locked me up. Because they said I'm mad back then. Okay, they didn't say I'm mad. They just said I was acting strangely. I can't explain it to them because they're stupid, man. We were just becoming educated back then, and people did these bachelor's degrees, like studied medicine and they studied psychiatry and they studied economics and engineering, and they didn't understand what they were studying. But they didn't understand Islam most of all. So they thought I was acting strangely. Not white people, Muslim people, slums. Yeah, they have no idea about Islam. I mean, those people now are like, okay, I'm gonna die, so let me go on Hajj and start making Salah. I hope for their sake that the Hajj and the Salah was accepted. I have no hard feelings towards them. Like I'm not Jesus, but like Nabi Isa said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. That's what's happening here in Cape Town. They've got no idea what they're doing. But anyway, I hope I left you with the idea that physics is a way of life and there are different schools of physics, if I can put it that way. So that it's the one and the same thing, but there's just different opinions. Like there's different schools of thought of psychology. There's the Freud and Adler and Jung and Harold Roberts and behaviorism. There's different schools of thought of physics also. There's different schools of thought of religion as well, like Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism. All very, very interesting, and it's just for you, it strengthens your iman. And don't listen to people when they say, oh, jy's Chris, what is jy Hindu? They fully please. Yeah, they make up their own stuff. And that to make up stuff in the deen, that is bid'ah. That is real bid'ah. If you make up a new implement and you sell it like a core engineering stuff, you do engineering and you make up something that isn't here and you sell it, that is innovation. Yes, you are innovating. And don't get turned off by the word innovation, because innovation is good. We must always make new stuff. But innovation doesn't directly translate to bid'ah. If you build a light motor and you're able to propel yourself through space, that's not bid'ah. That's innovation, yes, but not bid'ah. Bid'ah is when you bring something new into the deen. That's the difference. So if you say, and it's all old wives' tales, man. If they say just fully bliss, there's nothing like that. I've never come. Maybe there is, because I'm not a expert in Quran and Sunnah, but I've studied it a lot. I've memorized the 13 surahs already. I'm translating the Quran into mathematics, and I've never come anywhere close to anything where the shaitan is inside of you. Then he's not going to be by other people. He's just going to be in you, inside you nogal. It's full shaitan. The whole of you is full of shaitan. That is like a figure of speech, and it's old vrouwens that made up stuff. The women of old, they never went to masjid. Men go to masjid every Friday, so they hear all these things. But if you look at how old men are, they're very retired, man. Like, okay, and actually they're very tired. They all say, yeah, okay, say Jaima, but they're tired, they can't get through to their wives. And the wives are just like, you're lazy, and you're not this, and why are you not like Sheikh Ihsan, and why are you, and just fully bliss, and there's no such thing. Nobody can be fully bliss. No woman can predict what the sex of a baby is by hanging a needle over their hand, and swinging it, and then they say they're going to be a boy baby. No connection between the two. Anyway, Ramadan Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. Bye. Good afternoon.